Remember the good old days when the double Duelist comp consistently painted the Valorant town red? Back then, we saw teams like Paper Rex and Fnatic run Raze with Yoru, Yoru with ISO, on top of so many other Duelist combinations. But nothing could have prepared us for what we just witnessed from our most recent champs, T1, man. With explosive matches coming out of every intense series, honestly, I'm 100% certain that T1 definitely brought the double Duelist meta back. So let's once again just witness how our newly crowned kings re-establish the double Duelist meta as we reminisce their iconic series against G2 for the Masters Bangkok Trophy. Now, before we go any further into this, if you feel like you've been struggling in ranked recently, then we have got a huge treat for you. Over at SkillCapped, we have recently published a brand new Calm Aim course that details how any one of you could develop Radiant level aim in just a few weeks. Now, while most players just aim in whatever way feels comfortable to them, it might surprise you to hear that there is actually a proper aiming technique that pros use to not only make themselves a little bit more consistent, but to also help them get more kills like this. Now, in our course, we're going to teach you this proper technique, and we're also going to even provide you with an aim training routine that you can use to instantly start improving your aim and climbing today. Unlike other routines, this is a simple, less than 15-minute exercise that you can do before you play that will do wonders for your aim. Not only that, but our site is literally backed by a rank improvement guarantee. So if you don't climb, you don't pay. If you're really looking to climb this act and you want to actually start fragging out in your matches, do be sure to check out our new Calm Aim course using the link below. So let's start it all off with Map 2, Haven. Now, if you're wondering why we're starting at Map 2 instead of 1, well, it's mainly because Lotus was a bit of a blowout for G2. The map ended 12-4, but it's worth noting that T1's comp consisted of Buzz on Raze, Meteor on ISO, Izu on Cypher, Stax on Sova, and Sylvan on Omen. Right off the bat, T1 already flexed a double Duelist comp, despite the map being lopsided. Now, what's also worth mentioning here is Meteor's continuous transition to Duelist on certain maps. Now, we all remember him for playing as a nasty killjoy back in Gen G, but even then, he already had a dead-eye aim. Goes to show that if you give the man a deagle, he's going to obliterate anyone with it, no matter which agent. Moving back to his transfer to T1, though, we've seen more of a Meteor on Duelists like ISO and Reyna. And the reason why this makes sense, though, is that ISO and Reyna are duelists that depend on great aim, which Meteor, well, he obviously has. But I've digressed long enough here. Let's jump right back on track, straight into Haven. And this is one of the maps where we get to see the duelist Meteor in action. This is alongside with Buzz on Yoru, Stax on Sova, Izu on Cypher, and Sylvan on Omen. T1's utilization of the double duelist comp shined brightest during their attack. But there's one particular highlight reel that we really have to go through on defending, and it's with none other than Meteor. We're going to start right at the middle of the round with a scuffed site take from G2 on A site. With roughly 40 seconds left here, G2 really struggles to plant due to the early retake attempt from T1. Trades were back and forth, and as all of this was going on, you can see Meteor really slowly just creeping in from A main for the flank. Now, after Meteor gets the jump on Trent, the numbers advantage falls back into the hands of T1. However, it quickly shifted in G2's favor with Stax and Izu getting eliminated shortly after. Now, with Meteor all left on his lonesome here, Jonah P and Valen rotate to B after picking off Izu with only around 10 seconds left. If you check again on the minimap here, Meteor was already on A lobby where he initially thought of using his ult, but second-guessed it probably due to his shield expiring. Since Izu's elimination confirmed their rotation, it was a race against time for Meteor and the remaining G2 players.
Izu hearing the footsteps, tries to go in for a timing, ends up falling down. Does he get the pull? It does! Spike! I believe he might just have it. He's got the play of a Meteor, brings it to a 1v1.
Oh my god.
Just a wall. Noise made. Jonah swings with Meteor! What a shot!
With cinematic timing like no one in the Valorant community can, Meteor was able to deny that plant as he grabbed Valen into his domain expansion. As we all thought this was enough to win the round and deny that plant, to Jonah P's credit, he was able to react quickly and plant the spike. But even though Jonah P got the plant, Meteor also got the kill, leaving the round at a 1v1. And what better way to top the round off than with a nasty flick from Meteor. This easily etched its way into one of Valorant's most iconic moments thus far, and no other duelist could have done it other than ISO and his unique ult. Now, it's also Meteor's quick judgment, those insane reflexes, and the precise aim that really helped T1 secure the round and regain some momentum. Moving on to T1's attacking half though, despite having a double duelist comp, it's actually noticeable how T1 exhibited more diligence in default plays rather than full-on aggression. In all honesty, this may have been the reason why the score was closer than it should have been. Nevertheless, T1 was able to find their rhythm slowly and surely as the map progressed. Now, while the score really kept going back and forth between the two teams, it's this eco round from T1 that really cemented their momentum towards match point. And with the Vice and Tejo meta that's expected from G2, we see a counter strat coming from T1's team lineup. On this A execute, Yoru and Omen's TP was pivotal to entering the site early as a counter to Vice's shear. And we can see how Sylvan and Buzz used this exact tactic to bypass the Vice traps. With a Yoru flash and TP combo, Buzz and Sylvan were able to enter the site seamlessly. Now, because Leaf was a full-blown setup on A, the rest of G2 stacked in other areas of the map, forcing them to play retake. Now, do take note that even though Buzz and Sylvan were already on site, Meteor has yet to activate the wall. Since the wall hasn't been triggered, it gave T1 a bit more time to set up without having to worry about quick rotations. And as soon as Stax closes that gap from sewers, Meteor triggers the wall and backs away in A main. Only then was G2 beginning to plan out their retake toward A, but not before T1 had already secured the site for a free plant. Now, the funny thing is Leaf activates his Steel Guarded despite knowing T1 might be on Eco. And with 4 Sheriffs and a Guardian, man, you just can't count this team out. Valen also puts out his Gravity Well as G2 initiates their retake, combined with Trent's Armageddon. Now, in response, Sylvan throws a well-placed Paranoia which catches Jogamo mid-TP while preventing the rest of G2 from following up. Buzz, keeping calm while under the pressure of the Armageddon, gets the near-sighted Yoru, followed by a crisp headshot through Cypher's cage with the help of a perfectly timed recon dart. He then recovers the Phantom and gets another to his name amidst the chaos. With a few back-and-forth trades here, T1 comes out on top despite being on an eco buy and fighting against a barrage of ultimates. Now, while it's true that it was T1's crisp aim that gave them the dub here, we can't really discredit how smart and disciplined their site take was. On top of that, Sylvan's response to the retake and Buzz's grace under pressure is really what disrupted G2's almost unbeatable retake. The match ended at 12-8, placing T1 on the scoreboard. And while their attacking side wasn't as explosive as we expected from a double duelist comp, T1 was definitely heating up with the help of some fresh ideas to counter G2 on Haven. Their approach also showed us a semi-passive and disciplined way of showcasing a double duelist lineup. So with the series tied at 1-1, map 3 became all about gaining the upper hand. And to no surprise, T1 stuck with the double duelist comp with Buzz on Jett and Meteor on Reyna. Now, at first glance, it was a nice breath of fresh air to see Reyna make her way back into the VCT scene. And since Meteor is all about that crispy aim, it once again makes sense to have him on a duelist that's aim-reliant. In Abyss, T1 starts on the attacking side, and with 4 consecutive rounds to their name, we see the momentum really building up here. In this round, we get to see another great example of how T1 combines diligence and discipline before letting their aggression loose. Now, based on their read on Leaf's nuances as Chamber on Abyss, he often likes to hold aggressive angles whether with a headhunter or sniper. This also is a testament to how T1 tries to think ahead and counter their opponents with their team composition. If they know they're up against Vice, you're likely going to see a Yoru from either Izu or Buzz. Now, since T1 already anticipated Leaf's antics on Chamber, they went with Reyna on Meteor to counter that agent. If you're wondering how exactly Reyna counters Chamber, well, it's really all thanks to her Leer. So going back to our clip here, Stax makes sure there's no one posted up close on A main by doing a quick scan with his Prowler.
That operator.
Another Prowler to check, tries to wait it out, eventually has to take the rendezvous. Buzz once again into the back, the Paranoia is there. Recon gonna be sent out, Buzz, moments before getting flashed up. Able to find a kill, dashes into the corner, cannot find it, but it won't matter.
He does the same toward the choke point to bait out a TP from Leaf. And at the same time, Buzz went for an updraft peek to gather visual info and disrupt the enemy's crosshair, while Meteor threw a Leer. What this did is it forced Leaf to TP out, and as much as Jonah P wanted to do something risky by jumping out of tower, he gets caught by a well-timed paranoia, allowing Buzz to just pick him off. And just like that, T1's rewarded with a kill and a free sight, leaving G2 with absolutely no choice but to play retake. Buzz and Meteor, being the two duelists, hold an aggressive stance at backside to try and play off each other. A back-and-forth trade comes with Jogamo and Sylvan getting killed simultaneously. Despite being fully blind, Buzz's movement comes into play as he survived what was supposed to be an inescapable death. He fakes an air strafe to the left, then dashes to the right, which bamboozles the G2 players on CT. And to add insult to injury, he even eliminates Trent and gets Leaf to half HP. A few more trades come along, but what mattered was T1 securing their 5th consecutive round, keeping G2 far away from the scoreboard. Now, if that wasn't enough, this also caused G2 to use up their last timeout earlier than they would have wanted. And on this next bit, we're going to go through the most notable moments of T1 in this map, starting with this fast and chaotic site take filled with barrages of near sight. Which, in contrast to T1's usual approach to this, it really showed us a more fast-paced strat that maximizes their team composition. Oh, and that last repositioning from Stacks here, pure chef's kiss. Mwah. And lastly, this insane side acre from Meteor and quick retake from the rest of T1. Now, if on the previous map we saw a more calm and composed approach, in Abyss, there's plenty of fast-paced aggression we've all been dying to see from a double duelist composition. Now, as much as T1 really had it going here, G2 was able to catch up and secure the map. Nevertheless, we already have proof of what T1 is capable of, that we can't count this team out just yet. Now, while most of us thought it was going to be a blowout, T1 had absolutely no time to weep. So, we're going to jump right into the action on map 4 at Split. With Izu on Yoru and Buzz on Raze, man, you can already expect a lot of explosive plays and fast-paced movement here. While I was also already anticipating such an outcome, T1 actually struggled more in their attacking than they did defending. The map was also way too close for comfort, as it was G2 who reached match point first. Nevertheless, there's this one round in OT where T1's side execute was absolutely spot on, giving them the lead and the momentum to close out the map. The round starts out a bit slow here, with Fade creating presence on B and Yoru guarding mid. Based on T1's positioning, you can already tell that they're inching towards A and are just waiting for that right moment to strike. With the help of Stacks dumping utilities in B and Trent's Teho drone not finding anything on A, Jogamo rotates toward B. With great timing, T1 decides to inch forward to A, with Izu teleporting back to his team and Stacks running through spawn. With a simultaneous attack, Meteor catches Trent inside his Viper Orb at ramps. Buzz directly goes to site, and despite being concussed, he gets the jump on Jonah P by switching to his shorty. Buzz could have easily been punished as he was concussed, but it was his quick thinking to swap to his shorty that really allowed him to best Jonah P on elbow. And just like that, G2 is forced to play retake with 2 fewer players to work with. And after a few trades, that's really all she wrote for that round, giving T1 the lead and the momentum. As much as T1 struggled to get back on track, they were still able to find their groove towards the end, putting the series into a tie and giving us an iconic map 5. And with a map like Pearl, you already know T1's gonna flex their Neon and Yoru combo. Now, surely we get to see some fast-paced action here, right? Well, thankfully, Buzz came alive in this map, and together with his team, we got to see the aggressive side of playing double duelist comp. What's also worth mentioning here is that they were playing against G2's double Sentinel, Chamber, and Vice. And the thing about T1's choice of duelists is that they complement each other against Vice. Vice can easily counter Neon because her mobility can separate her from the team. And this is where Yoru really comes into play, because he has a few ways to bait out Vice's ultimates. He can either use his clone to trigger the wall and traps, or he can do it himself and just TP out. Neon's wall also comes in handy for blocking out Chamber's trap, so the team comp really worked in T1's favor. T1 starts with a bang as they get an early 4-0 lead. However, due to a minor lapse in judgment, they get thriftied by G2 on the next. With the response from T1, an even crazier thrifty, which was all on Buzz's perfectly timed aggression.
Relay bolt, trying to just pinch in, has a shot, overdone, pop Buzz is absolutely massacring them! A 3K, the 4th, Buzz is hot on his heels. He is looking to run him down. Tucked into the corner. Can't quite make it happen.
In this round, we can see G2 scattered evenly for a default play with Sova, Yoru, and Vise on mid. As soon as Buzz hears the Sova drone toward B Link, he immediately throws his relay bolt and rushes forward with the Judge. Trent had zero chance of survival, and Buzz was hungry for more. He then pops his ult and starts to obliterate everyone in mid. At this point, you know he wants to win. He wants that ace, that round, and that trophy. He goes for the hunt on Valen, but gets killed as his ult expired. But little did that matter, as the trade came out soon with a thrifty round on T1's shoulders. Fast forward after some neck-and-neck rounds, T1 is 1 point away from taking the map into overtime. And honestly, what better way than to sell a convincing fake on A and grab a flawless round?
Leaping forward, leave, the spray, some minor taps. Sylvan forced to back away quickly. But now the fake. He's ready to try to come into play. The dimensional drift forward here onto the A side, spotting him out. 37 seconds remaining in this round. Leap, however, still here. Trent sticking around. Rotation's about to begin. A stun under one. Leap gonna be taken down. Trent backpedaling, tacked up just a bit. Tries to counter straight through, but cannot find the spike now gonna be planted. Just watching for a lurk. They haven't spotted him out. Nizu gets rid of Valen. Takes him out of the equation. Time once again dwindling. Trent gonna be taken down. Swap in, and it's far from over.
The hook, line, and sinker for this fake play is Izu's dimensional drift combined with Buzz's fast lane. He practically baited out all of Vice's utilities, made a ton of noise, and TP'd back into spawn. Now, while all of that was happening, notice how much confusion it's causing on G2's defense. They're going crazy. Jogamo is running back and forth, undecided as to where he should support A or B, and while this was a very risky play here, given that they roughly had 30 seconds left after the sell, it was a gamble T1 perfectly executed. With less than 20 seconds left, T1 goes for the full execute, and it was only then the rest of G2 realized it was a full commit on B. With a multitude of smokes in G2's faces, they had no choice but to sit the plan out and play for retake. Now, for the rest of the round, we're just going to let that kill feed speak for itself in this absolute masterpiece fake strat and flawless round. Both teams continue to go back and forth in overtime, giving the crowd one of the best Masters Grand Finals we have seen thus far. It was absolutely insane. But as the curtains closed at round 30, T1 finally stands tall above each region's top seed. It was a well-deserved victory for the underdogs, man. And even though most of their wins were scuffed, we absolutely cannot discredit their creative ideas on maximizing the capabilities of the double Duelist comp. Throughout this series, we've seen calm and composed defaults, as well as those fast-paced and explosive entries. Really goes to show that there's always more to the game than what we expect from certain agents. Whether it's a combination of a brawler and mobility duelist, or two mobility duelists, T1's run showed us all that the double duelist meta is back, and it's here to stay.
All right, though, guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and we think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's kind of like a gym membership guaranteeing you that you're gonna get ripped. Your local gym probably go bust if they offered you that. But not us, because we've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. We add new courses every month with over 1,000 guides curated into over 50 courses. No one can compare. We also have a direct line of communication with subscribers in our Discord so that you can get connected immediately to some of the best players in the game who will respond to every question you ask. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you're serious about improving your game. So that's going to be all for this one today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.